Welcome, Black Hollywood Live fans. On today's Fit Club, we talk symptoms of stroke, an herbalist sentenced to jail, and eating your way to mental health. Stay tuned.
You're tuned into Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Tune in right now.
Welcome, Black Hollywood Live fans. We are back. Missing our music at the top, though.
I know. Things change. You just move on with the time.
YouTube and these copyright issues. I tell you, man. Remember when you could just throw up a video on YouTube and just have a good time and
a lot
share?
of things on YouTube at one point.
Man, I tell you. But we got us and some great content, so let's break it down. Our first story, of course, is the sad death of Luke Perry. That was hit me tough because that was like one of my idols growing up.
And yeah, they're supposed to bring back 90210.
The
like
day
the
he had the
remake.
stroke, it looks like they had announced. I didn't even know that was
The
in the
day
works.
before, yeah.
And I was getting tired of all these remakes where they bring in like a new cast and like the people are peripheral. So this was like an exciting thing that they were going to redo. But yeah, so sad to hear of the stroke, and 52 years old, so it was really a shock, but it shouldn't be too much of a shock because people are suffering strokes a lot younger now. And I think, so they're kind of looking at this, obviously it being in the news, it's being looked at a little bit more, and it looks like 15% of all ischemic strokes, which make up about 87% of all strokes, are happening to the young and adolescents. And, there's different risk factors: smoking, diabetes, high blood pressure,
Stress,
high blood cholesterol, obesity, of course, and cardiovascular disease. So, I think we're all suffering from this. Obviously, the obesity epidemic right now is huge. So, but, he wasn't, he didn't seem obese, and you would think that, being a celebrity, he'd have somewhat of a healthier lifestyle.
Giving in like the LA, he's probably a healthy lifestyle, but I also think that in the culture that we have now, like if you live in LA, you're probably eating healthy, but like the thing is, the food is not as healthy as it used to be. So you probably are trying to eat healthy, but you're still at a minor disadvantage.
And I don't know if he was a smoker. I don't know.
Don't think so, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, you add the stress.
Yeah.
I think stress and the fact that we're attached to our phones and we're connected way more than we were 10 years ago, it plays into a part too. So I think even though somebody appears healthy, all the little things chipping away, if you don't kind of step back and reset, that might be an issue.
Yeah, and even if we know we're not healthy, we don't think, oh, I might have a stroke at 52. We think I might have a stroke years down the line.
Right.
And so it's important for people to watch out for this. And apparently there's something called FAST, which is what you want to look out for, a quick acronym. So F, the face is drooping. A, the arms are weak. S, the speech is difficult. And then T is time to call 911.
Right.
So FAST, face is drooping, arms are weak, speech is difficult. Those are the symptoms. I really hope they were going to get to him in time because, some people had come out in support, and some of them had suffered massive strokes and had come back and were talking
Well,
fine.
he was in the hospital.
Yeah.
And then the next day he was pronounced dead. So
Yeah, I think they said I don't think he ever regained consciousness.
Yeah, it might have been something in addition to.
So unfortunate there, but it does highlight these risk factors. So hopefully people are taking better note and better care of themselves. Next story involves something that we all try to do is the weekend sleep in. I think probably everyone is guilty of this at some point. But at some point you think, okay, I'm going to have this day to make up all the sleep I didn't get, whatever day it is. But a lot of studies show it doesn't help, and it actually may hurt. What they're finding now is that sleep deprivation actually leads to overeating. And they did a study in the Journal of Current Biology, 36 men and women over 10 days, and they divided up into 3 groups. One group slept 9 hours a day. So they got 9 hours to sleep. Hopefully they took advantage of all 9 hours. The second group, they were only allowed 5 hours of sleep every single night over 10 days. And the third group got 5 hours of sleep every night, but the 2 weekend nights were allowed to sleep as much as they needed to catch up on. And they found that the group that slept in, the men gained 3% in weight, and the women gained 0.05% in weight. And the sleep-deprived group gained 2.8% in weight for men, and the women 1.1%. Well, there was no change in the other group. So it definitely, sleeping in doesn't help. It actually hurts. You're going to gain more weight. And, they're saying it disrupts your biological rhythm, and you tend to overeat when that happens. Your hormones go out of whack. And so a lot of times when our hormone for increasing our appetite kicks in, we as humans tend to actually overeat anyways. So when you increase the hormone that I think it's Gararin. But leptin suppresses, and the other one increases your appetite. When you increase it, it looks on average that we actually overeat. So increasing it doesn't help you to eat just the right amount either.
I think it also depends on, there's like so many situations, like if you're a 9 to 5, how many kids you have, what, all the outside factors. Because I know, like growing up, it was my brother and I. My mom worked a 9 to 5. We are very active kids. So on Sundays, guaranteed, they're sleeping into double digits for like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of, I think, even though you're sometimes you can't avoid not getting as much sleep because of outside factors.
True, but in terms of this study, they actually accounted for all the outside factors that someone might not be getting sleep for. So they did control for that in terms of these people. No one had a newborn, no one had anything that would disrupt their sleep.
Right.
So that they were able to take advantage of this study. But even if you do have a situation where you feel like you need to sleep in, technically you shouldn't, because it's not going to help. And some other studies have shown it doesn't even help with the fatigue, that you actually might feel more tired if you try to sleep more hours.
I don't know about that. I think it just depends on the circumstances. Like if you sleep in, like say every day you get up at 6 or 7, and then on Saturday you get up at 8 or 9, and then on Sunday you get up at 8 or 9.
Yeah.
It's totally different than sleeping in until 12.
Oh yeah, and sleeping when the body's tired is fine. But some people say, let me catch up and get an extra 3 or 4 hours.
That doesn't. I can't even do that. Like my body's like, no, we're good.
We're up. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, you might like do the whole phone thing, and then it too depends on, like, some people count sleeping in as you're just staying in your bed and you're like watching TV and you're on your phone. That's not really sleeping in. You're still like very minimal activity, but it's still something.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Well, if you're sleeping in and you're gaining weight, that might be an area that you're like, let me see if I want to, because it's actually better to try to just average it out over the week so that you're at least not messing up with your hormones and your biological
Try
clock.
to go to bed around the same time and get up at the same time.
Yeah, so you'd rather even it out rather than disrupt.
Yeah.
But bottom line, get more sleep, and they are recommending that adults should be getting 7 hours of sleep per night.
It's not even. I don't know.
Can be tough.
Yeah, I don't know about that one either.
Our next story is interesting, and actually I like this story because I think it's the nexus of where we are in society of medicine. But this herbalist was sentenced to jail over prescribing herbs to a 13-year-old boy who was suffering from type 1 diabetes, who suffered cardiac arrest the next day. And of course, the mother had believed in this herbalist, teachings, had gone to some of his courses, and he came and saw the child, was like gravely ill, I guess, and he said, no insulin, just give him these herbs, he'll be fine, nothing to worry about. And of course, he died the next day. The LA city attorney, right here in Los Angeles, Mike Feuer, was the guy that was the one that charged him. He got 120 days in county jail, 48 months of probation, a $5,000 fine. Also charged with practicing medicine without a license and child abuse, which are misdemeanors. He's got to put he's got to put a warning label on his herbs now.
Right.
He had to pull down his videos off of YouTube where he was saying herbs over medicine, got to go down.
Oh wow.
And so that was the totality of it. And he's got to attend some counseling sessions.
Do they have? I didn't know herbalists had like an official medical degree.
They don't. That's why he was guilty of practicing medicine without a license.
Oh, but how can you get a license if you're practicing herbs? Like.
No. So he was practicing medicine without a license. So what he was doing was saying, don't take insulin. He's practicing medicine. He was putting himself as an expert in medicine, giving her advice regarding.
Oh, gotcha.
So for her, he was a medical expert, and he put himself out as such, and he was practicing medicine by telling her not to.
If somebody's prescribing herbs to me, I don't assume that they have a medical license.
So it's a degree of reasonability, and so this guy, and I didn't look too deep into exactly what he did, Timothy Morrow, but he had courses, and so he was really putting himself out there as that expert, and like if a reasonable person would rely on you as a medical expert, then you'd be
that's usually the
license.
Secondary when especially if it's something grave, that's usually the secondary.
Well, that's what it
modern
should
medicine
be, but
doesn't work.
I think it should be the secondary, right? But in some instances, I think even we kind of say maybe it should be the primary, depending on what's going on. And I think we're at that intersection of science and medicine, but enough knowledge of herbs and what's out there that we're trying to do this whole balancing test. And I'm glad this guy got time for it, because you don't want someone out there going, hey, look, don't pay attention to the doctors.
Right.
But you do want to say maybe be wary of the doctors at times, because there might be something out there. But
I think it just depends on. It's also dependent on what you do on a daily basis. Like if you're doing prevention, then I definitely prescribe to more, holistic. But if it's something where you're not necessarily taking care of yourself and you're just kind of going through the motions, and one day, you have Alex Trebek just got, I think,
pancreatic cancer,
stage 4. I mean, holistic medicine at this point probably is not the first choice.
Yeah. But again, Steve Jobs, he went with holistic medicine as his first choice.
He passed away.
And I heard, I think the type of cancer he had was highly curable when they caught it.
Mm-hmm.
And had he gotten the conventional treatment, he probably would have lived, just numbers wise.
Mm-hmm.
But it's again, how do you balance it? Because so many people are saying, well, these doctors are trying to kill us, and
mm-hmm.
the industry is really tilted towards, trying to get drugs into your body.
Right.
So whether or not they help you. So it's just really tough, I think.
I think what you said is true about what you have. Because if it's something where it's like an illness like cancer or whatever, it's totally different than like a modern cold or something that's, not necessarily deadly. And it can't turn deadly.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it kind of comes into play. Because either way, if you have cancer in Los Angeles or in the United States, you're going to be paying money anyway.
And you just got to be careful out there, because now with the production value of these YouTube videos and Vimeo, you can watch something and it can just appear to be complete and whole fact and truth,
mm-hmm.
and with the number of doctors that are backing up, and so you have to watch the studies and where they're coming from. So it's tough that we have to be so vigilant. I think probably the people that are listening to this type of show probably already are vigilant.
Yeah, I kind of just think I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what, you have marathoners who drop dead, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's a process of life, and I guarantee everybody wants to live longer than versus, die younger. But it's just one of those things that if you try to take care of yourself bit by bit and do the little things, that the big things are not going to be as big, provided it's not, genetic.
Yes. So we do say, be wary of these claims, but also be wary of the claims on the other side as well.
Yeah.
And this brings us to the next story, which is Amazon Prime has actually pulled some of the anti-vaccination videos off of Prime Video.
Mm-hmm.
Amongst them are Vaxxed, Shoot 'em Up, and Shoot 'em Up, The Truth About Vaccines, and We Don't Vaccinate. Apparently, Democratic Rep Adam Schiff sent a letter to Jeff Bezos really telling him this was irresponsible.
Right.
They were combating some outbreaks of them, as we talked about it on the show prior, the measles.
Mm-hmm.
Nationwide, and different, I've seen really around the world, there's been little outbreaks of the measles.
And then there's a kid, I think he's either 16, he's suing his parents for not vaccinating him.
Yeah, and I think he went ahead and got vaccinated, and then he's actually testifying, or maybe testified today in front of Congress about it. So that was interesting. And YouTube now is demonetizing videos that are popular with anti-vaccination, and Facebook now is looking into what they can do, kind of suppressing that. So there's also the free speech thing too, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're getting into a very slippery slope, because now if you have somebody like Adam Schiff writing a letter and it happens, then what about other things? Like, obviously you want everybody to be healthy.
This is like, to me, it's like, I'm really wary of the danger of telling people what you put out there, your speech has to be censored because it's not good for the public. Like, what does that mean? This situation, yes, because I'm like, this is really of the level and nature of importance. I think you should be saying, we don't want people to get this misinformation. But at the same time, what about the next issue?
It's going to be a slippery slope. Like, I mean, you have the thing last week where it's the cartoon character that's telling the kids to kill themselves. Yeah. I mean, that in itself is a whole thing, and like, obviously you should take that down because it's, causing harm. But it's just like one of those things where the moment you start doing that, the moment you can do other things, and then it's just like, do we get to the point where it's somewhere like China where it's all censored?
Yeah, and it's scary because at the same time, this is the first time that the media that we have is so pervasive that a 5-year-old can go on YouTube and pick up any video.
Oh.
And, if you're 5 watching a video on anti-vaccinations and that's what you grew up watching, you might just believe that is...
Well, there's more kids that are vegan now. Not to say vegan is bad or good, but there's way more
because
kids.
They have accessibility to the media telling them, hey, this is a good thing.
Yeah, there's way more kids. It's way more, like, acceptable for stuff like that because of all that.
The exposure of it. So it's good and bad, But yeah, on this I agree. Do you agree on this, or you still seem a little hesitant about the?
it's just one of those things because you really don't know. You have the vaccinations; they're telling you this is the vaccination, but you don't know. You're not there when it's made, and you can assume that it's.
But you order food, right? You know, you don't.
That's what I'm saying. You can go all the way down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Like you're not watching the food at the restaurant, but they could be like spitting. They have, I was at a fast food spot, and the guys weren't wearing the nets.
Yeah.
And does the net really catch anything? It has holes in it, so it's just like you can go on the rabbit hole of all that stuff. So.
But what's your final? So, but do you generally believe the vaccinations are safe?
Initially, I felt like if I were to have kids at that point, I wouldn't have vaccinated them.
Yeah.
But because of this outbreak, and you don't see as many kids, like if you were to break down the percentages, because they're saying these vaccinations are, there's autism and all these other things, you don't see the percentage as great versus people dying from measles, which is the outbreak. So therefore, it makes more sense to do it versus not do it.
And for me, it was more of I kind of believed, but I hadn't really researched it because I didn't need to, because I already been vaccinated. But and I wasn't getting it for the flu because I just had my own sort of.
Right.
But this made me look into it deeper, and then there's just so many studies that support that vaccinations are safe. And I think a recent one came in and said. Part of autism might be attributed to what's happening in the womb and infections the mother might have during the womb, I think.
Yeah.
So I think as we see more and more studies about it, it's almost becoming irrefutable, but,
Yeah, and the thing, too, is stuff like autism and stuff like that, even the peanut allergies, like, you have to really look at, and I definitely don't, I'm sure there's a study somewhere, but you have to really look at the foods that we're eating. The foods that we're eating, not the same that they were before.
Yeah.
Just a lot of stuff is not, from farm to table.
Yeah.
So now you're looking at all these things, even all the products that, women are using as far as nail polish and hair products and all the stuff that you're ingesting. And then the environment that you're in. Yeah. So all these things, I honestly believe, play a factor as far as what happens to the child. Yeah. So it's definitely, there's just so many possibilities that, you can, again, rabbit hole of things.
So, well, on this one, I think it's a good thing. But, of course, if it's causing you any sort of mental stress, you might want to eat your way to mental health. So, in a positive manner. They're finding that eating more fruits and vegetables can actually be attributed to positive mental health.
I don't understand why this is even a study. This is just common knowledge.
Well, maybe you'll be happier in the moment, but we don't know that it's going to actually lead to better mental quality, mental health, and so less depressive symptoms, feeling more vital. You would think it could, but it's important to clinically kind of try to tease it out.
Well, it's one of those things that, like, okay, so if you've been eating crap food for a long period of time, obviously, if you go and eat fruit or something like that, there's gonna be a difference, and you're gonna feel miserable, and you're gonna want to go to the crap food. Yeah. But if you kind of get that crap food out, and you're kind of balancing it out, then, like, I had slices of mangoes yesterday before I went to CrossFit. Yeah. I felt the difference. Like, I felt the sugar, and I'm a person that I can definitely go down the sugar hole. Like, I'll have a whole bunch of sugar. Like, I love sugar.
But this is you, West Coast, having a good time.
Yes.
I know a lot of people are like, I'm going to get my big thing of 2 packs of Dominoes and hit the gym and have the best day of my life.
Right.
And I'll do that every day.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It just depends on, everybody's lifestyle is different. I'm not one to preaching that you should do this. Yeah. I know what works for me, but I also see, again, with food, that it's just kind of like, how does eating, 2 big pizzas that on top of it's Domino's, which is terrible in itself. It's not even quality pizza. Like, how does that benefit you in the long run? So you can do that and go and work out, but the cheese, the clog, like all that stuff.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I would say there was definitely a time where
and then on top of that
equaled happiness to me. And if you would have said.
But were you an athlete?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you would have said to me.
There's a difference, though.
No, but if you would have said to me, is that good for your mental health? I would have been like, yeah, absolutely. Now I would say, like, you know what? I might have been happy in the moment, but I don't think it's good for my long-term mental health.
Yeah, but being a student athlete at that, like in university and in high school, like, just think about the issues that you're dealing with, mental health wise. Yeah. So if you're a student athlete in high school or in college, the likelihood of you, dealing with bills and taxes and all this other stuff, that's probably not happening unless you have a kid.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, you're just worrying about yourself. The stress is way less than you adulting.
No, I
So
agree.
then you eating a pizza and working out, on top of that, your metabolism is so much better. It doesn't.
But I think what happens is you're coping when you use, like, say in college when you cope with the big pizza and the 2 pint of ice cream,
Right.
but you're a student athlete or you're just young, so you metabolize.
Right.
You don't realize that's a negative coping mechanism, and you think that it made you happy. The next day, there's no negative result of
Right.
the food, and you're good for the next couple of weeks. So you associate that as like a positive coping mechanism.
Yeah, of
and
course.
so then you get to like 25 and 28, and then you realize,
Well, then you
and then you
see-
get depressed and you realize, but then you're already in it. So it's like,
Well, I mean, that's where self-awareness comes in. It's definitely
Yeah.
something where, I think the population itself, we're definitely lacking in.
That's the
but
key,
then
yeah.
you see your body gives you, hopefully your body gives you cues where you can still live from it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like if the pizza and the ice cream is the mechanism as far as like, coping,
Yeah.
and then you start gaining weight, and then you start gaining weight 10 pounds every year, then you notice like there's going to be an obvious difference
Oh, yeah,
between
yeah.
you as a 21-year-old versus you as a 35-year-old.
Well, yeah, some people just don't get it till like 30 pounds in. So
Well, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
But as long as you get it, right?
Yeah, but better to get it 5 pounds in.
Well,
the crease.
and it's the same thing. That's what
Yeah.
happened to me as far as like just lifestyle, like
Yeah.
adjusting to the lifestyle. Like I was the one who ate. We had Papa John's pizza, Caesar's pizza, $5. Like I made lasagna with cheesecake. Like I cooked a lot. I made a lot, but I was also training 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily a coping mechanism. It's just like I could eat,
Yeah.
and I was able to eat because I was training a lot.
Yeah.
And then you don't realize it. Like people warn you, but you don't know until you're in.
Yeah.
And so you don't realize, oh, you can't eat the same. And
yeah.
what I ate, 5 years ago compared to what I'm eating now is totally different. Like I barely
Oh,
cook
of
now.
course, yeah.
So
But
it's just
from-
one of those things where you live and you learn, but it's also you being self-aware and self-conscious. And people tend not to do that until they're like, they just give up. Like, well, those are my younger days. Like, no, you can still come back.
I
from
was
it.
definitely using food to cope, but it just took one picture of me that towards the end of freshman year, I saw one picture, said, oh, okay. That kind of clicked the self-awareness
Right.
of I was using food to cope, and now I was out of shape, and now it's like not liking the way I looked, and it started
Yeah.
to go, okay, wait a minute, be aware of these things.
Yeah, but
So-
that's a vanity point, and especially if you're...
but a vanity point that I think prevented me from using food as a coping mechanism
Right.
that would have led me to being depressed later on.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah.
But you're also in an advantage because you know how to work out.
Yeah, well, and actually then I didn't know how to work out, and that's when I started using portion control because I didn't
But
know.
I thought you played like water polo or something.
Yeah, but I didn't do the gym workouts with the guys because I found I got so tight in the gym I
Right.
couldn't really move the way I wanted
But
to.
you
in the
were like
water.
athletic though.
Oh yeah.
Well,
But,
that's-
but I didn't know how to work out in the gym.
Well, yeah, I don't care about the gym. Like I didn't work out in a gym until I graduated. Like I didn't know how to use a treadmill. Like I
Yeah.
remember the first time I got on a treadmill, I put it on 12 just thinking, and yeah,
Yeah.
that wasn't the case. So I think as long as you're active, that's where the difference is. You have the youth and you have the fact that
Yeah.
you're active. That plays different roles. But the self-awareness part is the key part, and you're also in an advantage when you have been active
Yeah.
throughout. Because there's a lot of people who are in high school and
Yeah, so they're starting kind of like from zero, or like almost. It's tough to get into shape when you've never really been in shape.
and then the
yeah.
mental part of it too,
Yeah.
because being consistent is the key for everything.
Yeah.
If you want 10,000 hours and you want to become a lawyer, you want to become a doctor, or you want to become a host, or you want to become whatever, you put your time into it. If you can't be consistent on your diet and your workout, then that's the problem.
And so eat more fruit is the end.
You should have
is
known
the end
already.
goal, right? But this study that they did actually looked at 40,000 people. It was a follow-up to the Australia study they did in 2016. That was done in 2016. And they found that even, we know that physical activity can have a great boost for mental health, and that one portion of fruit or vegetables actually equals the same sort of mental health boost you'd get from doing a walk 7 or 8 days a month. So
You just have to get used to it.
yeah,
That's the problem.
And so and the one portion is like a size of a fist. So a fistful of extra veggies and fruit a day, which is not much. So of course, again, not to go with the herbalist and say if you have some mental issues, don't go to the doctor and
Right.
get something prescribed. But certainly, if you're just kind of looking to make sure that your mental health is good, continuing on, it might be good to add more fruits and veggies.
Yeah,
to
and
that.
and I know the common thing is like it's too expensive, but like if you can't get it fresh, then frozen, like at least some variation of it, you can get. I think it's like 10 for 10 packs of frozen vegetables for $10.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not all the nutrients, but it's way better than Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah, and I know the budget resolution that they finally passed did not include if people are on food stamps, because they were trying to put a work requirement in, but they didn't put that in, so at least people for the short term don't have to worry about that. But yeah, so hopefully administrations will be supportive of efforts for people to get food that need assistance.
I don't know. There's a lot of things falling through the cracks.
So we'll see where that goes.
We shall see.
But what else are you working on these days? Anything you're preparing for? I know you always have like a fitness goal in mind.
I finished the 21 days back in December, and now I am doing calorie counting, which is it's helped me before, and I've just been avoiding it because it just sucks. But I've been doing 1,100 calories a day, and that's definitely been.
How long have you been doing that?
2 or 3 weeks now.
Are you noticing like energy levels or?
No, energy level is never an issue for me because I mean VH1. Thank you. I'm fortunate enough to work out daily, and it's.
What, do they have a gym?
Well, because I only work 1 day a week, so I can work out daily. And
nice.
Thanks VH1. But yeah, energy level is never an issue for me because it's about consistent, and for me, I can't go like 2 weeks without working out. That's just not an option. So I've leaned out a lot. Like it's less the puffiness. So it's working out. It's just it's just working for me because at one point I was still eating healthy. Like my version of bad food was like a gluten-free pizza with cheese on it, but that pizza at Pizza Rev was like 1,200 calories.
Yeah.
So that's one meal. Right. Then you add whatever else. Now I'm eating way more than.
And we give ourselves those allowances when we hear those buzz terms like vegan or gluten-free.
Right.
We just go, okay.
Yeah, and you don't watch that stuff. So it's like I was not looking for it, even though I know I should have looked for it. And then it's like, okay, well, look at what you're eating. You're still eating healthy, but the calories that you're putting in is not.
And I think sometimes we have a tendency to go, let me wait till like everything is settled down.
Yeah.
And I think maybe sometimes you were fortunate where things did settle down, but not always. So if things don't settle down, sometimes you got to say, you know what, it's just got to be done. I just got to start.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I started, but it was one of those things too. Working at TMZ, they had Candy Wall, and I was waking up at 4:00 in the morning. Yeah. So it was like all these
sleep deprivation.
Yeah, all these factors, which I could have still did that, but I just didn't want to.
Yeah.
And now it's come to the point where it's just like you have all these opportunities, and it's like, well, are you going to be the person who's like, well, like I don't want to be in this process the end of this year.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like you have the opportunity to do it. You can wake up and go and work out. You get way more than enough sleep now. So it's just like you have this window, and I don't know if I'll ever have this window again. This is probably my last window of doing this. So it's just like enjoy it and move on. But the consistent part of it is always is the key.
Yeah, if you're doing something to stick to it. They found the best diet is the one you stick to.
Yeah.
So Love and Hip Hop, the tea. Is there any fitness tea that we have?
I mean, you have Samara Reese on there. She was on Love and Hip Hop New York. She's a billionaire now, so she has the tea. She actually has tea, like fitness tea. But again, I think a lot of the stuff is like placebos. Yeah. Like I noticed yesterday, there's this waist trainer place on Instagram. Like they have all the Love and Hip Hop people, and they're like repping it, Erica Mena and Rashida and all this other stuff. But I think a lot of that stuff is placebos. And if it works for you, then it works for you. Like they could literally be giving you like a sugar pill and some sweet tea.
But if it's working, keep taking it.
If it's working, keep taking. Then it's not. I don't
and
think
not unhealthy. But
I don't think it's anything that's gonna build up and kill you. So it's like, and then same thing with the waist trainers. Like you have people on both sides, but if you feel like it's working, it's making you sweat more, and it's not affecting your inner organs.
The thing is, are they affecting you negatively internally? They definitely work. That I saw one lady with a waist. She was repping the waist trainer. It was her waist trainer, but her waist, like, you could tell it was working.
Yeah, and it depends too, because you have different ones depending on the boning and all this other stuff. So if you get one that's still giving versus the one that literally like sucks everything in and it's not any give, then that's where it's all different. But
we might need to have a waist trainer expert in here because they still are very prevalent. I thought it would be a thing that would kind of pass, but people are still using them to a high degree.
Well, I guess it depends, because I have I think it's a Sweet Sweat one that I used to work out, and that one's pretty good because it's still giving, but it's more the sweat versus like the
trying
waist.
To like
right. So, but then I also had the corset one that Kim K had years ago, and that one was just, I was like, you can't You can't breathe in this. Like, and it was leaving marks on the body, and I was just like, this is not
abusive.
Cool. Yeah, so it's just like, it just depends. It depends on, no matter what era, we're always gonna have health gimmicks.
Yeah.
So it's just, again, it brings to the consistency part of it. If you're gonna do a certain diet, then do it consistently. However, the keto diet, I read the study where for women they shouldn't be taking it because it offsets some body odor for women, so it's not a good idea. I read that article.
Good, because I didn't want to bring it up, and I read it as well. And I was like, I don't know if I should. That
I'm not about that life.
But yeah, so there is Other than the keto flu, there are some other keto symptoms you may want to look out for. And it's just it's an unsustainable diet. So again, if you're trying to get in shape for something in particular, it might work. But if you're looking for long-term success,
well, I mean, there's been people it's like a better version or a different version of the Atkins diet. I've known people have been on Atkins diet forever.
If people are on the keto diet long-term with success, they're modifying it in some way because it's really tough. It's not even healthy. So
I mean, that's a whole other thing with diets.
But yeah, we'll have to talk some more. Maybe I'll get someone in here who's a pro keto person so I can get some feedback.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who've lost weight off it. I just don't think with that amount of meat every day, with the clogged arteries and the fact that the meat is not even as healthy as it once was. Yeah. Like I was talking, I can't remember where it was, but they're talking about like certain meats from different places where, they essentially, like a cow in a certain, there's certain cuts of beef where essentially the cow is like in the house and they massage the cow every day and the cow is like essentially treated like a king. Oh. And then they kill the cow and of course the cow is like almost like a super athlete. So all the cuts of meat that you get from that cow is totally
lean and
versus the cows that are just chilling and they're eating, some form of grass and grain, and it's a lot of fat and all this other stuff. So it's different cuts of meat that plays into that. I guarantee people who are on keto are not paying for that cut of meat.
Yeah, and I would love to hear. We'd love to hear from anyone who's on keto long term, and if it's worked as prescribed, or if you modified it. Again, we don't always shout it out, but we're on iTunes. We're on Spotify, SoundCloud, and certainly you guys can leave comments under the YouTube video.
Right.
And of course, 5 stars, awesome comments are appreciated.
Yep.
So, but I think that's pretty much it for the day. We should do Fit Club 5 with each other every time too.
Every time? Ain't nobody want to hear about us.
Anyways, guys, thank you for joining us. My name is Shaka Smith. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at Shaka Strong.
And you can find me on everything at TK Trinidad.
See you guys next week.
Ciao.
On behalf of our BHL staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in to Black Hollywood Live, the world's first digital broadcast network devoted entirely to urban entertainment and pop culture. Check out our Black Hollywood Live YouTube page for even more great programming and amazing content, and be sure to subscribe and like our channel when you do. I'm your BHL host, Nakia Monet, and you can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom or at Black Hollywood Live. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.